Hello and welcome to another video. Today we have something a little bit different. We have a B350 Gaming Plus board from MSI, but this time this comes with a CPU and a CPU cooler attached to it. I believe this is a 2200G, so an APU. And interestingly enough, we had this exact same board in here not too long ago, where we had the broken BIOS, and as a proof, I can show you, this is the exact same board. And this is the one where we flash the BIOS. As you can see, these legs are soldered. So if necessary, we have a second board to compare to. This is a big coincidence, but it's pretty good for us because taking measurements off of a known good board can always be very helpful, and especially also comparing components if we have any knocked off ones or something like that. But I'm going to get this one built up right now, and we're going to see what this does. I think we're not going to use the GPU. We instantly try to use the onboard video from the APU, and let's see. And now our board is built up. We have our power supply connected to it. We have one stick of RAM. We have the DDR postcard. We have another postcard right here down there in the PCI slot. We have DVI connected. And let's see what the current says. And the current says 80 milliamps, looks very good. Let's connect the power button onto there and let's see how this board behaves. Okay, 2 amps. We have debug LEDs right here as well. These look good so far. There's cycle on CPU, cycle on VGA, and cycle on boot. And we have picture, interestingly enough. Okay, well, let's what we're going to do next. I'm going to turn this off because the CPU cooler is not firmly attached to here. The image that you have in the top right is stuck. It's actually off, as you can see on the current in the bottom right. I'm going to see why this is attached so loosely, and I'm going to attach a SSD onto here, and we're going to see if this boots into Windows. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to populate all the RAM sticks. One moment, please. And now our board is fully built up again. We have the NVMe SSD right here. We have a SATA SSD right here connected. We have 4 DIMMs of RAM. This is a total of 20 gigabytes. We have thermal paste applied now because this was very dry. We have Ethernet connected. We have the USB mouse connected, a dongle right there. We have a PS2 keyboard connected in the top. And now let's see what we're going to find as soon as we turn this on and if this goes into Windows. And we have a blue screen. IO1 initialization failed. Very interesting. Let's see if this restarts on its own. The current looks like it's restarting. And let's see if this thing can actually go into... Okay, it just restarts. And instantly blue screen again. System thread exception not handled. Okay, yet another blue screen. Let's see if this continues going like this. Okay, Windows goes into automatic repair. I think our board is frozen because our current consumption is also static. So I think even trying to go into the Windows recovery, it failed, and yeah. Let's try something different. I think I'm going to turn the board off. We're going to go into the BIOS and we're going to see if we can load optimized defaults. Just reset everything there is, just to be very sure that there's nothing wrong with that. And we're also going to look at the BIOS version and compare that to what is available online. So let's turn this off. I'm going to press the power button and hold it. Now I'm going to unplug the SATA where Windows is installed. We're going to turn it on again, and let's see if any error also occurs while we are in the BIOS, if we have any freezes or anything like that, or if we only have it while going into Windows. And now we are in BIOS. Our mouse also works. As you can see, this is a 2200G with, we have 20 gigs of RAM installed right now. The BIOS is 2018, 19th of March. I think there should be newer ones. The temperature looks good, so I don't think we have any problem with our Super I/O, just like the readout voltages look good. Let's see. We go into settings, go into save and exit, restore defaults, save changes and reboot. Hit yes. Now our board is restarting. Let's start it up again. And as you can see, it tried to load Windows. You can see that by the three dots in the middle of the screen, but it seems like we are frozen yet again. We have very static 3.3 amps of current draw. And I think it's not booting. One more thing that I want to do right now is this NVMe SSD has nothing on it. So I'm going to plug in a boot device, which is a USB stick with the Windows install on it, or with the Windows installer on it. Going to plug it in, going to unplug the SSD, and we're going to see if we are able to get Windows onto the NVMe that is installed here. Because there could be the point that as soon as we try to load something, like if I'm going to put in the USB stick, that is also going to be freezing there. But we're going to test that right now. And we're turning on again. Our USB stick is connected right there. This has a Windows image file on it to install Windows. Let's see if it automatically detects it and goes into there. You know, normally the kind of artifacts you see on the capture card are not actually there, are caused by the capture card itself. But this time, these artifacts are actually on my screen as well. And we had a Windows logo appear. Or not a Windows logo, but again, the three dots at the bottom. And our current consumption is very static again. I'm going to let this be sitting here like this in case anything changes. I just want to see for a few seconds if this can recover by itself somehow. If not, we need to do something else. I'm probably need to swap in a different CPU next, and we need to see what it will do then. And now I've waited a few minutes, but we have no improvement, so we're going to turn this off again. We're going to pull out that USB stick, and on this USB stick that I'm plugging in right now, I have prepared an image file for its BIOS. So go into the BIOS right now. And now we are in BIOS, and let's see. We need mFlash. Yes, we want to go into the automatic flash mode. And now it's entering flash mode. We are in our in mFlash now. Let's see now. We want this one. As you can see in the bottom right, we have a way different build date. We go from a 2018 to 2019. There were newer ones, but they removed the support for some APUs, and I think one of those APUs would be the one that we have currently in there right now. So I'm just going to try with a little bit older BIOS from 2019 to see how this one does. Very important is to also look at the values at the bottom. They sometimes can give you quite some information about how the board is doing. I've had it that Super IOs were dead and the CPU RPM wouldn't display correctly, just like the CPU temperature. But in this case, everything looks good. Let's wait for this BIOS to run through, this BIOS update, and we're going to see how this board behaves afterwards. And now our BIOS has updated. As you can see on the top right, we have the build date of the 23rd of January 2019. Let's see if this changed anything. So what we're going to do is we're now going to insert a boot device, which in this case is the Windows installer again. Let's plug that in. Let's hit F10. Let's continue with the boot and let's see if it automatically now detects again our USB stick and tries to go into the Windows installer. And we have the same image again. Let's see if our dots can still appear. Okay, we got further than we got before because our dots are now spinning and now we are in the Windows installer. Let's see. We're going to hit install. We have no product key. We want Windows 10 Home. Let's see now. Let's delete everything that we had on here. This is the NVMe SSD. Going to fully have nothing on there. We're going to hit next. And let's now have Windows installed. And let's see how this board will behave. And it so far looks very good. Windows has installed so far that it wants to automatically restart and is going to now boot off of the NVMe SSD that we've installed Windows on. And let's see if we're going to crash instantly when we're trying to access the device with Windows or not. And so far this looks very good. We have the dots spinning. We didn't lock up instantly. The power consumption is jumping a lot, which is a very good sign, which means activity. And now, as we can see, we are in the Windows install environment. I can now unplug our install USB stick. I'm going to run through the install environment now, and if anything happens, I'm going to have you check in on me again. And if not, we're going to see each other on desktop. And now we got to desktop. I'm going to continue with installing some stress tests onto this SSD, and I'm going to install some Windows updates. And if anything else occurs or happens, I'm going to have you check in again. And now you can see we have linpack running. We had one pass that I had running here, and it passed without any problems. My power supply almost maxed out at 9 amps in between, but we're still good. There's more things to come that I'm going to test, and we're going to see you then. And as you can see right now, we have 4Mark running. So the APU part, the graphical part of the APU also works. What's now left to do is to put my 2600X in here, put a GPU in here, and see if that also works, just to confirm with the different processor. And then we are about ready with this mainboard. And now we have a different CPU in here. We have a 2600X. You might not be able to see it, but there's the 2600X with our 20 gigs of RAM, and we have our RX Vega 64 right here. This is the big GPU you can see here, also detected. So there's no problem with this board anymore. We had a BIOS that was not compatible or had problems with the processor that we had in before, the 2200G. So even if a processor starts in a mainboard, as you could saw, we were able to get into the BIOS, where we were able to change things, and it was stable in BIOS. But as soon as we try to put Windows onto there in any kind, it would also always blue screen or crash in any sort of way. So even if the BIOS supports the processor, doesn't mean there isn't another BIOS that would improve the compatibility. And maybe the BIOS that was on here was a, a bit broken BIOS, because we don't know if the 2600X would have worked in there. I didn't want to change it out instantly. So it could have been that the same problem would have occurred with the 2600X, and there was actually a much deeper problem with the BIOS than we think it was. But after flashing the BIOS just with the inbuilt M-Flash, we now have a working and stable system that has been powered off and powered on multiple times with VSP taken off, different CPU in there, different loads, Linpack and Heaven and 4Mark. And I can say that this board is now fixed. Thank you very much for watching. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. Thank you very much and goodbye.